We go. All right, here we go. Got Between Your Ears number 6. And I have the one, the only, my esteemed expert on all things mixed martial arts, none other than my brother.
Hello.
JTC2 in the flesh, Justin Cubano here. What's up, buddy?
Hi. Happy to be here. Honored to be number 6.
It's fitting that you're on the 6th edition of Between Your Ears because all of our names have
6 letters. I was just thinking that. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. We should just, you'll have to do Between Your Ears 666.
No, I'll come back for that one.
How cold is it in New York?
Today wasn't too bad. Today was just it was mid 40s, a little windy, so it felt a little colder than it is. But the temperature's been fluctuating a lot. Kind of like your average MMA fan. Right?
It's shocking. This might surprise you, but I think the weather is the same here in LA. We got down to like 39 today.
Oh my God, people must be freaking out.
Yeah, some people are freaking out. Los Angelinos can't handle X weather. But all right. Well, like I said, you're my MMA expert. And let's kind of jump into it. We'll jump into Volk versus Islam first. Unanimous decision for Islam, 2 48-47s, and then a 49-46. I watched it live. I've watched it once on repeat. I'll let you go first. Where did you have it? Because I think I'm biased.
How did I score the fight?
Yeah.
Well, first, before I get into that, I would just like to preface by saying I'm no MMA expert. I like to think of myself as an esteemed casual.
We're esteemed casuals here.
But for the Volk Islam fight, like yourself, I think I too am biased because I am a big Volkanovski fan. Was rooting for him hardcore in the buildup. Was losing my shit whenever he would have good moments. Apologies if cursing is not allowed on this fine program.
We're 18 plus.
No, okay.
It's also, I think we have 2 people watching right now. We're good.
But yeah, I myself am a big Volkanovski fan. I was rooting for the underdog. Who doesn't like rooting for the underdog? He's the fan favorite out of the 2. But in terms of scoring, by the end of the fight, I did have it 3-2 Islam. I had round 1 for Islam, rounds 3 and 4 also for Islam, and then 2 and 5 for Volkanovski.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think there's a very acceptable range of scorecards for this fight. I can see 49-46 for Islam just because 2 and 3 were pretty close. Yep. And I could also see 3-2 Volkanovski. Trust me, I could really see 3-2 Volkanovski. I was praying the judges would also see that, but alas, they did not.
Yeah, I mean, so going into the fight, it was Volk. I think we got him at 3-1 underdog, right? That was about our position on it, and kind of similar to when DC fought Stipe for the first time. I think Volk's one of those fighters where if you're getting plus 300 odds, I don't care if he's fighting Jesus Christ reincarnated. I'm taking Volk. That's an out of whack line. And I think that'll be reflected even if we see a rematch. So it definitely won't be plus 300. That's for sure. it'll probably be closer to. I think it'll be like a minus 220 plus 180 kind of scenario. But I did have it on the rewatch. I had 2, 3, and 5 going to Volk. And it's kind of it reminded me of the Jan versus O'Malley fight, where we thought Jan won that fight, right? The ground control being the differential there. O'Malley ended up winning it. Kind of should O'Malley have won that or not? But I think it kind of came down to O'Malley was the more dangerous guy on the feet. And if we were to look at that result and then apply that to here, I think Volk did more damage to Islam than O'Malley did to Jan. And it all comes down to values there. And I think Volkanovski in totality won the fight. And I think it's reasonable to say he won 2, 3, and 5. He also, I think, had the most dangerous moment in the fight in the 5th round.
Sure. Round 5 was the most dominant round for either of the two throughout the whole fight.
Yeah, 100%. I actually thought he was going to finish him.
Yeah, pretty close.
It was crazy. I was definitely yelling about it. I thought he had him, man. I thought he really was about to kind of shock the world there a little bit. But nevertheless, it doesn't. Islam won. Do you think we see a rematch?
I sure hope so. I sure hope we do, but probably not. Probably not. I don't think so. I think Volkanovski certainly wants a rematch. He has nothing to lose with a rematch. But he has to go back down to featherweight. He has to defend against Yair. And that's no guarantee. Yair is a tough fight.
I think Volk runs through him, but
I wouldn't be so sure. In this fight against Islam was catching him a lot with left body kicks, and Yair is he is nothing but a leg kick specialist.
Sure.
Granted, I think Volkanovski will game plan for the kicks of Yair, but just him being even a little open to it is a little worrying. Plus, Yair gave Max all he could handle in their 5-round war that they had back in, what was it, mid 2021.
The counter that I would say to that is I think Islam was landing that leg kick because of the threat of the takedown. I don't think Volk's going to have any concern about Yair trying to take him down.
True, that's fair. But I'm just saying Yair's no pushover, and no one should be writing him off as an easy defense. Even if Volk does win that, I do see him coming out with a lot of damage. And Volkanovski's getting up there in age. I think he's, 33, 34? And then Islam has to defend against the winner of Oliveira Dariush, which is
or Connor.
Or Connor, or even Dustin now. Dustin's chiming for a title shot. Or even the winner of Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev.
That's going to be a banger. That's going to be a banger.
Oh yeah. But I think the earliest we would see a rematch would be early to mid 2024. But we have Islam recently talking about retirement, how he doesn't want to be in the fight game much longer because his mom wants him to retire.
Coincidentally.
Yeah, coincidentally.
I sent you that meme where like you take the mask of his mom off and it's Volkanovski. I don't find that too. I find that convenient. Yeah, it's fascinating, and I will say, remember when I used to say I think peak Connor at featherweight is the GOAT? I'm here to say I was wrong. Volkanovski, I think, beats Connor at any weight.
I I've been saying that. I'm glad to see you finally come to the light.
I have come to the light, my brother. My brother, I have come to the light. Volk is just, I mean, no one stopped really Dagestani wrestling from Habib or Islam. And it's fascinating. It's really fascinating to just kind of see that it's not invincible there. And it was interesting to see the pound for pound rankings, and like, it's just kind of like a made up hypothetical kind of thing, because how can you really equate pound for pound? It's kind of one of those silly things that gives us something to talk about. But for argument's sake, the UFC still has Volk as the pound for pound number one, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I think he proved that he is the pound for pound number one guy, because it's kind of like when Mighty Mouse fought Cruz and Cruz beat him. But we all know, I think all of us would generally say Mighty Mouse is better than Cruz. You know what I mean?
At this point in time, yeah. But when they fought, that was pre-flyweight Mighty Mouse. That's when the UFC still only had bantamweight.
Right.
But yeah, I think most fans, most analysts still agree that Volkanovski's the pound for pound number one, and it's a little hard to disagree with that, considering he was the smaller fighter coming up and gave an incredibly competitive fight to the bigger champion. Not just in weight, but just like in general size. Like Islam is he's a pretty big,
big
lightweight. He's had trouble with weight cuts in the past. With this fight, he had trouble. There's always been talks of him going up to welterweight. So for Volkanovski to come and do that is incredibly impressive, and I think earns him the right to keep the pound for pound number one, especially since pound for pound is
probably giving up 25 pounds, right?
Volkanovski came on. He went on to Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour, and if I remember correctly, he said that fight night that Volk said he himself weighed around about 170, and then through grappling with Islam, he felt that Islam's weight was probably around 180 to 185, which makes sense. That's usually where lightweights balloon up to. That's around the weight that they get into on fight night. So
yeah, I mean, Islam
15 pounds.
Islam says that he walks in at 190, so
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but just from, I mean, we're talking about, like, if Volkanovski is our height, is mine and yours height, I think he runs through Islam. You know what I mean? Like, I like to kind of like jokingly call him real life Wolverine, but he's like, he's amazing to me. I really think he's still my number one pound for pound. He's kind of entered the GOAT conversation for me. Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and it'd be fascinating to watch him fight Connor. It'd be fascinating to watch him fight Gaethje.
It would.
He has a whole new division to conquer, and I'm gonna be honest. It would be. I was hoping he beats Islam and it brings Habib back. That would have been cool. That would have been something. But now I think there's no shot.
There has been quite a bit of discussion around what a hypothetical Habib versus Volkanovski fight would have looked like.
I think we got to look at. I think this definitely showed Habib is better than Islam for me a little bit. Not to discredit him, he ran through Oliveira.
I think they have very different styles. I think skill wise, I think Islam is far more well rounded than Habib ever was.
Okay.
His striking is certainly ahead of what Habib was at. Habib's takedowns, though, his ground game was a lot more explosive, a lot more damage focused. Islam likes to work on position before submission. He works on control. He grinds you down. He makes you make a mistake, and then he capitalizes on it. whereas Habib was much more just, I'm going to run through you until you can't take it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Pressure, and he used his durability to his advantage. That was probably his greatest kind of strength, where he just kind of absorbed shots and just kept fucking going. I don't think Islam has that.
No, I don't think Islam has the same durability that Habib has, nor the same cardio. Because at the end of, I think this was the first time we've seen Islam go 5 rounds in the UFC, and he was pretty tired at the end of the 5th round.
He looked like if there was another round, it was GG's.
Yeah,
like I don't know, man. I'm fully on the Volk train. I'm probably his number 1 hype man right now. So he's gonna fight Yair next. I would guesstimate Yair's probably gonna be like a plus 280, plus 300 there. I don't know if there's any odds up. Actually, maybe we should take a look.
Not from what I recall seeing, but let me check.
What do you think? What would you have Yair at?
I'd have him at a healthy plus 200, plus 250.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I just low on Yair there?
I think you might be. The thing with Yair is that there's still quite a bit of unknowns with him. Even though he got this submission win over Emmett,
Emmett just looked too old. That wasn't the same Emmett that we've been seeing in other fights.
He looked old, and he looked
too one-dimensional. Too one-dimensional. He was just going for the right hand bomb the whole time.
Yeah, he was headhunting too much. In the UFC, with a common fault with power punchers that we see a lot is a lot of them love to headhunt because they get caught in that dream where it's like, if I hit them with one shot, they're gone, which is usually true if they land that shot. But when you get to the highest levels, you're going to run into people that can avoid those shots, like Yair.
I think doesn't have any odds on Yair.
Yeah, I think if Emmett employed a more body punching game plan against Yair, he would have had a lot more success.
Agreed, 100%. I like the Emmett kind of where he's patient and he builds up to the kill shot. Here it was just like, it seemed like he was just going in kill shot right from the start. You know what I mean? Where it was just like there was no build up to it, and it was a disappointing outing. I really like Josh Emmett, but that's probably his one and only shot there. I don't think he's gonna get another shot there.
Yeah, no.
But I do think I have Volkanovski running through Yair. I don't think Yair has anything for him, and I think this loss, we're going to see a reinvigorated Volkanovski, and I'm really excited for that.
The only odds I was able to find on the fight have Volk at a minus 425 and Yair at a plus 325.
See, I told you I was about right there. I told you Yair's probably plus 300 there. I think maybe it'll come down a little bit, but that sounds about right to me. I don't think Yair has anything for Volk. So you think Justin thinks Yair is a value there at plus 325, huh?
Well, I wouldn't say, blow your life savings on that, but if you have $20 you never want to see it again, could turn into 60, I guess.
I would probably put that maybe in like a $5 hero parlay. That's not something I would look at per se. But and then for Islam, I haven't heard anything announced for his next opponent. You're saying it's probably Oliveira versus Dariush?
Probably. I mean, I think Dariush should be getting the shot anyways. I think he's more than earned it. But I think it's pretty clear the UFC doesn't want him as champion.
It does not want Dariush. He's too. We love him. Yeah. I love watching him fight, but the average casual, he doesn't have a fan-friendly kind of style. But I think he deserves a shot.
I think he has a pretty fan-friendly style. The only fan friendly fight he's had was against Tony, and that's because
he just smushed him.
it was old Tony. He smushed him. He took the least amount of damage. But go back and watch. To anybody that hasn't seen Dariush fight, go watch his fight with Gamrot, one of the most technical and fun fights you'll see. His fight with Drakkar Klose was, the second round at least was incredibly wild. That was on the Izzy Romero fight.
But do you think that style is going to translate versus Islam? I think it's going to turn into a smush.
I think so. I don't. I think Dariush stands probably the best shot out of anybody within the top 10 to beat Islam.
Oh no, I'm not talking about beating Islam. I think he has a legitimate chance to beat anybody. I'm saying it might be a snoozer.
Oh no way.
You think that their styles will cancel out and they'll have to stand and bang?
I think there's going to be fun scrambles, and there will be. I think it's going to be more fun scrambles than anything, but because Islam does not. I'm calling it right now. Islam does not want to stand with Beneil Dariush.
Okay.
Dariush, I think, is the better striker, and he hits very hard. It's deceiving how hard he hits, but when he lands, oh boy, does he land!
Interesting. Okay.
And anytime Dariush has been up against another grappler, it has been nothing but incredibly fun scrambles to watch. Like with Gamrot, right. Go watch the Gamrot fight.
I watched the Gamrot fight. I don't think Oliveira is appealing for the UFC in a rematch with Islam. And it's hard to see that result really having much difference.
Unless Oliveira comes out and just shows something different against Dariush, I don't think he'll get another shot at Islam without another couple wins. I think the UFC would be more than happy to give Oliveira another shot at the title because he's fan friendly. He's a fan favorite. He's big in Brazil. At least I think he's big in Brazil. Don't quote me on that. I think the UFC would be more than happy to give him another shot.
I mean, he's had a really long streak there, so he probably deserves another shot there. But it's the most stacked division in the UFC right now. So and that's not even getting to Dustin Poirier, who just smoked Chandler, and that doesn't even get to if Conor beats Chandler the way that Dustin beat him, we know he's going to jump the line.
Well, to say Dustin smoked Chandler, I think it's a little forgetful of the second round. He did kind of just get held down by Chandler, which doesn't bode well for him in matchups against someone like Islam or even lower down the rankings like Gamrot or Dariush.
Yeah.
Which I think is why he avoided the Dariush fight.
Yeah, that's fair, but I'm saying more. I think we're in prime position here that Conor's going to jump the line if he beats Chandler in spectacular fashion, because I don't think Conor comes back if that's not a possibility. And we know Dana. I'm not here to get into the whole Dana loves Conor yada yada. That's kind of established. It is what it is. You have certain privileges when you generate that much buzz and money. It is what it is. And we're just kind of, what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to see what the landscape is. And I think that's a realistic possibility. What I'm hoping for, I want to see Conor versus Volk. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see Conor versus Volkanovski.
I would like to see that just so Volkanovski gets the popularity he deserves.
I'm really rooting for that. I think I'd be happy to see him make that kind of money, and I think he would beat Conor. I think he would beat Conor on the feet. I really
100%.
100 P. All right. Enough review. Let's get to a preview. The probably the consensus, if we did a poll amongst experts, I think Jon Jones would probably come up as with the highest percentage of votes if we were trying to find a GOAT in the in UFC history. I don't want to say, I almost said MMA. That would be a bigger argument. But in terms of the UFC, I'm going to treat it like baseball, where it's like trying to figure out who's on heads and who's not is a fruitless gamble or a fruitless gambit. Jon Jones is probably has the resume of the GOAT, of who we think the GOAT is. And he's going up against Ciryl Gane, who is, I think, stylistically, from what we saw from Jon Jones in his last 3 fights, an absolute nightmare matchup for him. In terms of just a kickboxer, a bigger man that moves like a lighter guy. I mean, Ciryl Gane probably moves like a middleweight. And, you know, he's going to attack his front leg here. This is the first time I think we're seeing Jon Jones as an underdog.
Is he actually? I haven't looked at the odds.
No, he moved back. He's minus 156. But this is the lowest his odds have been since Stephan Bonner. He's minus 156. Gane is plus 132 on FanDuel. I'm using FanDuel for odds right now.
Hey, FanDuel, you want to sponsor us? That'd be cool.
It'd be cool. It'd be nice. If anyone out there wants to try to get us a FanDuel sponsorship, we're ready. We can't even. Let's get dude wipes first, so your poops can be sponsored.
No, let's go the UFC Classic sponsored Condom Depot.
Oh, there we go. All right, Valentine's Day already passed, so. So I mean, that being said, Ciryl Gane is stylistically a matchup nightmare for Jon Jones. But conversely, with what we saw with Ngannou versus Gane, we saw Cyryl's very susceptible to a high-level wrestler. Mm-hmm. And gun to my head, looking for a prediction here, I feel like that's where we're going to see Jones go, kind of right from the start. And I think we're going to see Jon Jones basically be heavyweight Hamzat. I think he's going to come out and he is just going to get Gane to the ground and ground and pound here, because that's the easiest path to victory that I see for him. I love how like they're like saying he put on the weight the right way and naturally. I have my doubts.
Mm-hmm.
What says you?
John's not clean. Come on. To be fair, neither is Ciryl, but come on, we're not in fantasy land. Jon Jones is not clean.
We need to make it clear for the audience that you don't think anyone's clean.
Oh yeah.
I think we need to give that disclaimer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me give another disclaimer. This is just my opinion. Okay, so none of the fighters, if they somehow hear this, so they can't sue me, but I believe that most, if not all, high-level MMA fighters are on some form of performance-enhancing drugs. USADA is not there to stop fighters from taking drugs. It's there to give the UFC a good public image, to make it look like, hey, we care about fighter safety. We care about if they're using illegal substances. Okay, we're stopping them.
I think your better argument is where, and granted, I'm going to fast forward a little bit so we get back to Jones versus Gane. I think your better argument with it is that when you say you think it would be silly not to be using them.
Oh yeah, it would be silly not
it
to.
is in their best interest.
Is in their best interest, and it is not as difficult to circumvent drug testing as people think it is.
Moving on.
Yeah. Anyways,
how do you see this one playing out, Jones versus Gane?
I think it'll be quite the interesting matchup because John has been out for 3 years. We did see that next Gane has a susceptible. Well, with Gane, right, and his takedown defense against Ngannou was the first time we've ever seen it. Everyone else in the UFC hasn't really tried to grapple with him. The only person that tried to grapple with him was Dontel Mays, and Dontel Mays is, not to be disparaging, but he's not a high-level heavyweight, at least not when him and Gane fought.
Fighting this weekend. We'll get to him in a little bit.
He is fighting. That is right. But other than that, Ciryl fought strictly stand-up fighters. Alexander Volkov, Tanner Bolser, Sharinzo Rosenstrike, Derek Lewis. Even since the Ngannou fight, the only person he's fought is Tai Tuivasa, and Tuivasa is not going to take you to the ground.
Doesn't know how to spell wrestling.
Yeah. That guy drinks beer from a cup. You think he's going to come with a smart game plan? Come on.
A cup? You mean a shoe?
A shoe. That's right. My bad. My apologies. To him, that is a cup.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%. 100p there.
Yeah, but the thing is, well, obviously this is John's first foray into heavyweight, right? I'm not sure what his fight night weights have been at light heavyweight, but if I remember correctly, they're always around 200 to 230 pounds. So that coming in now at heavyweight, it's going to be a pretty significant jump because Cyryl's one of the bigger heavyweights. He always comes in around, I believe, 250, in that 240 250 range. So he's about the same size as Jones. Surprisingly enough, John Jones still has a longer reach by 3 inches.
I think he still has the longest reach, even in the heavyweight division, if I recall.
Him and Sergey Pavlovich both have 84-inch reaches.
There you go. Yeah,
which is crazy.
I knew it was a Russian fighter.
Yeah,
but it really blew my mind when I saw he has a longer reach than Volkov.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. Volkov's 6'7", and he still doesn't have the longest reach. Yeah, it just shows you how much of an anomaly these guys are. But anyways, so John coming up in weight is interesting because it's his first stint at heavyweight, and not only that, he's been out for 3 years and he's old. And I say that with quotations because he's only 35, but in terms of fight years, he's quite old. He made his UFC debut at 21. He's been the champ since 23, and there's
a lot of gaps in between though.
There is, but he's had a lot of fights. He's had a lot of fights since then, and he's had a lot of hard fought battles. Gus, Reyes. Even if you want to include the gaps in his in cage time, what he's been doing outside the cage, I wouldn't think that's exactly beneficial to one's health either.
Sure. Unless he's got the Mickey Mantle gene.
And speaking to John Jones's takedowns in this fight against Gane, I'm not quite sure what to think of it. I don't think they're going to be as big as a threat as everybody seems to think there is, because this isn't prime John Jones. This is old Jones who has struggled against fighters his size at the end of his light heavyweight run. Mm-hmm. If we go back and we look at early John Jones, he was taking everybody down at will. Even DC, he was taking down whenever he wanted, and he was taking them down wherever he wanted. In his early fights against, in his UFC debut against Andre Guzman, in his follow fights with Stephan Bonner, Ryan Bader, and then his later championship fights with Shogun, Rashad, Lyoto. He was taking these guys, Rampage. He was taking these guys down in the middle of the cage, in open space with whatever he wanted, double legs, inside trips, lat throwdowns, whatever he wanted. It was always a big explosive movement that the other guy just couldn't stop. But as he progressed in his career, and as he got older, and as he fought higher level opponents, the takedowns started to not come as easy, especially in his last two fights against Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes. If we look at specifically the Dominic Reyes fight,
the Reyes fight was where we were like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Not only did he not get a lot of takedowns, but the only takedowns he got were along the fence when he would push, when he would pressure Reyes to the back, and usually he would shoot in on a double leg, and then Reyes would stuff the double leg. John would then come up to a clinch, have him fighting off an inside trip or a lat pull down, and then he would go back down to the legs and finish the takedown. So in this late stage of Jones's career, we see a lot more chain wrestling versus early on. It was a lot of explosive single shots that the other person just couldn't stop.
Almost like it could be a adjustment to not being able to just throw adult human warriors wherever you want because you are on a certain something.
Wow.
But we're not in the conjecture game.
If I were a betting man, I'd say he was still on that in the Reyes fight.
Okay. Well, maybe not on the same stuff. So it's who do you got here? It kind of sounds like you're going Gane here.
I probably lean Gane, but also so we can only judge by what we see, right? We're unfortunately not able to see how these guys look during training, what they're working on, any of that. We can only see what they show us in the cage. And what Gane showed us in the Ngannou fight is that his takedown defense is kind of sus, especially against the cage. That's where he got taken down. That's where Ngannou was able to trip him and shoot a takedown. Well, not a trip. It was a throw, but still, he was able to take them down along the cage line. Not only that, but Ngannou caught one of Gane's kicks, and that was the first takedown. That was the big hulking smash takedown that Ngannou got on him.
Yeah,
and Jones hasn't done it as much in his in the later part of his career, but early on he was a big fan of catching a leg and then taking you down from that. Ben Askren is a big advocate of catching kicks because, as he puts it, that's a free single leg takedown right there.
As long as they're not flying through the air with a knee.
Yes, as long as they're not flying through the air with a knee.
So
I am skeptical about whether or not Gane will be able to ward off the takedown, but I have to imagine Gane's striking is probably so far ahead of Jones's that during this training camp, I feel like they're comfortable pouring a lot more hours into just his wrestling defense. So similar to what Eric Nixick, Ngannou's head coach, said. I forget what interview he said it in, but he was like, for this camp versus Gane, unfortunately, I don't think our striking is going to get that much better. So let's just focus on our wrestling. And Ngannou was like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then look at the result he produced.
So I'm going to give you 4 options. You pick one. Jones minus 156, Gane plus 132. Goes the distance, yes, minus 134. No, plus 102. Pick one.
I think Gane wins. I'll take Gane.
I have Jones.
Ooh.
I think Jones takes it.
A little difference of the minds here. All right.
I think the biggest thing that we saw here in the Gane Ngannou fight, I think we saw, and this is what the one talking point that I haven't heard so much from MMA media in general. I think what we saw was Gane's lack of MMA experience on display. And I think that that's the key differential here between Jones and Gane. Jones he might be the most seasoned fighter in the UFC. If he's not, he's up there. He has probably the most experience by way of just he's been in the UFC since he was a puppy. So I think that is the biggest disparity that I see between these two. Gane is still relatively new to MMA. He is a kickboxer by trade. And I feel like that is the key, that is the X factor, so to speak, between these two. Furthermore, kind of like reading between the lines, Jones has known he's going to be fighting Gane for a while now. And I think he's known that for over a year. And I think if you give Jon Jones a year to prepare for a single opponent, I think that's a massive advantage for someone with his fight IQ. He's known he's fighting Ciryl Gane for a year now. The UFC has known that it's not going to sign Francis, and I'm sure they communicated that to Jon. The UFC needs Jon Jones to win this fight. They need someone to fill the Francis Ngannou baddest man on the planet void. And a Jones win makes them look better.
Yes, it does.
So I think that this is one of those cases. The UFC needs Jon Jones to win. Jon Jones needs to win. They have given him everything stacked in his favor. And I think the books have this right. Minus 156 is about what I would say it is. And I think he just wrestle fucks him. I think he has come close to losing. In our opinions, we think he did lose the Reyes fight. He almost lost the Santos fight. If Santos doesn't blow his ACL, that becomes a completely different fight. I think he has come so close to losing. It just everything lines up to me that I think this is going to be a Jon Jones smush fest. You just don't want Jon Jones to win.
Well,
you don't want Jon Jones to win.
Aside from my personal opinions about Jon Jones, which no, I don't want him to win. Nothing would make me happier than seeing Gane starch him. In fact, I was really hoping this would be an Ngannou fight because who wouldn't just love to see?
That's a different story. That's a different story, and I don't know who I would pick in that. I think back to where DC was like, I would absolutely destroy Francis Ngannou. And I would love to have seen DC's face when he stuffed that takedown by Stipe. Mm-hmm. And DC never said that shit again. He never said again, I would beat Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know. I just don't know how Jones's takedowns are going to translate up to heavyweight. I don't think it's going to work. I think Gane is a better striker than certainly a better striker than Reyes. Certainly far more skilled. The only like negative I would give, well, not only, but one of the biggest negatives I would give Gane is when he does land a big shot, he tends to get a bit wild and lose all his technicality. He just goes a little ape shit, like in the finishing sequence against. Yeah, like in the finishing sequence there, he hurts him and then he just goes wild swinging arm punches. But that, yeah. And I think even if Gane gets taken down, I don't think it's going to be that easy for Jones to control him or to not let him get back up. Because even on the ground, even on bottom position, Gane is still, I would say, competent. In fact, hot take alert, I think Gane kind of won. Not kind of. I think Gane probably should have won the Ngannou fight. Just because in the 5th round when he got taken down, Gane was the only one doing anything. Gane was throwing up submissions. He nearly had one.
I think the one argument for the Gane side, if I was going to try to argue that, is that Francis had success taking him down because Gane was probably terrified of Francis's hands. So I don't think that Ciryl is afraid of John Jones's hands. So John might see a harder time in taking him down there. But all right. So you have Ciryl, I have Jones. I'm sure we'll talk about that more as we get closer to that card. It's on March 4th. Last note about this matchup. It does kind of frustrate me that there has been way more publicity and way more hype on this fight than the Volk Islam fight. I really think they did a poor job hyping Volk versus Islam. That really should have gotten Izzy versus Pereira level of attention, and it just didn't.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's weird. It, unfortunately, those two just aren't stars, and the UFC has no interest in making either one of them stars.
Volk is a star.
He's now he is. He's grown on the fan base, but even still, he's still only.
I love Volk. That guy's awesome.
He's a hardcore fan star, but he doesn't translate to the casual fan base. Neither does Islam. Even with the Habib rub, but
we'll see.
And I'm like, unfortunately, John Jones is a star despite everything that he's done outside of the cage. Fans still just latch onto him, which is quite crazy to me.
Yeah, I just think that they really missed the golden opportunity there. You know, the night before the Super Bowl, you know, everybody's ready. It was awesome. It was an awesome fight. Like, whether you had Islam winning or Volk winning. But again, I got John Jones. You got Ciryl. Let's talk the newest breakout. Or, well, I don't know if we would call it a breakout. We've already been on her.
Yeah.
But Erin Blanchfield with a big win this weekend over Jessica Andrade. It was one of those moments where, you know, we look at each other and it's like, bet the house.
Yeah.
Bet the house. Blanche was basically a pick'em versus Andrade, and I thought that was ridiculous for Andrade taking the fight on a week's notice. For casuals who don't know, you know, Erin Blanchfield is that girl. She is awesome. She has shown off array of skills that honestly, I didn't know that she had. She was kind of billed as like a submission artist, and she's an all-around awesome fighter. And now it begs the natural question, given the weight class that she fights at. We all thought Wei Li was the only possible chance to dethrone Valentina, who's coming off a kind of lackluster win. Some people don't think she won that fight. I wouldn't go that far, but a lot of people thought it would take Wei Li moving up in weight. But now we have a new person. And my question to you, my friend, is Erin Blanchfield the person to dethrone Valentina Shevchenko? For reference,
yes, but not right now. I would say yes, but well,
that's fair. That has been the point shared by a lot of pundits whose opinions I respect. I think we heard Kenny Florian say where he was like, I think I'm putting up the stop sign here. I think she can beat her, but you don't want to rush it. You only get one shot before you get put at the back of the line. Because once you lose to Valentina, that's it.
Yeah. I think so. Erin Blanchfield's her ground game is phenomenal, especially by women's flyweight standards. It's great. It's phenomenal.
I would say it's the best in the division.
You forgot about Tatiana Suarez. She returns this weekend. But even still, Erin Blanchfield's might be better than hers.
Suarez
do
is
think.
fighting De La Rosa. She's a -800 favorite.
Oh yeah, she should very handedly win that. But I think I agree with Florian's take. I think we should stop a little bit. Jessica Andrade is a very good win. However, it was still on short notice. I would have liked to see how that would have played out given Andrade a full camp. Although honestly, I would imagine it would go similar, just because Andrade has never had stellar takedown defense. And also maybe if Venom would have given Andrade better attire, the fight could have played out differently.
All right.
Yeah. No, have you heard Andrade's explanation of why the fight went the way it did
Against Blanchfield?
Yeah.
No.
She came out in an interview saying that one of the reasons she wasn't as quick to defend the takedowns was because her breast popped out, and she was
I didn't hear that.
She was focused on tucking it back in rather than defending the takedown.
Interesting.
No, I haven't went back and verified the validity of such a statement, but it's not too surprising. Back when Reebok took over the fight kits, there was a lot of reports of that happening. But this is the first I've heard about it since the Venom kits. I kind of just.
Did she say that in English or in Portuguese?
I think it was a translation.
Okay.
So in Portuguese, I kind of just want to say it was an excuse. Fighters tend to have a lot of wacky excuses in order to rationalize a loss. But anyways, that's a little off topic. I think Blanchfield certainly stands a very good chance against Shevchenko, especially with Shev's last performance. God, it was just for as good as.
I'm ready for a hot take. I think she's the next Ronda Rousey.
Blanchfield?
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck out of here.
I think she's the next Ronda Rousey in terms of just the way that she can submit literally anybody. I think she's going to have that kind of breakthrough. And I'm a little biased. I'm rooting for Jersey there. We watched her literally make a meatball out of Molly. We cleaned up on that one, bud. I turned to you and I told you the odds and you were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We watched it live. She destroyed Molly. She crucifixed her.
Yeah, I've been watching Blanchfield since her big win over Miranda Maverick. She dominated Maverick, which was surprising to me because Maverick's not bad. She's a good top 15 fringe top 10 flyweight, but I don't know if I.
So you want to pump the brake?
Well, I don't want to say she's the next Rousey because I think Blanchfield's skill wise probably better than Rousey.
Oh, 100%. She's a much more well-rounded fighter than Ronda, I think, ever was.
But
Ronda's biggest mistake was that she tried to become Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah, she did not have hands at all.
I really think, based on how we saw Nunez lose to Juliana Pena, I really, and it sounds ridiculous because we saw Nunez just absolutely obliterate her, and Holly Holm head kicked her into the shadow realm. But had she gone with what got her to the dance, I think those fights end up differently. I think, it was just bad coaching. If Ronda stuck to just trying to armbar everybody, I think the end of her career would look a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
But get a little off topic there. Let's so you're saying to pump the brakes on Erin Blanchfield. I'm saying full steam ahead.
I think that's probably the UFC's approach, full steam ahead, because Valentina.
They don't have anybody else. Who the fuck else do they have for Valentina?
Well, Valentina on the same card as Gane Jones. Valentina is going to be fighting Alexa Grasso, and that should be interesting. But Valentina,
she's low. She has low odds for Valentina standards.
Yeah, but Valentina should win that. I see that mostly being a stand-up affair. And while Alexa is a good striker, she has good boxing. I think Valentina just. I don't think there's many people that are going to beat Valentina in a stand-up affair, and unfortunately, I don't think Grasso's one of them. So I think Valentina should get through that one relatively unscathed. And then I think next up will probably be Blanchfield, just because the UFC needs contenders for Valentina, and Blanchfield's on a hot streak.
I think Wei Li gets the shot first.
Well, Wei Li has to worry about Tatiana Suarez. Because Suarez, even though Suarez is fighting at flyweight on Saturday, she's made it known that her intentions are to go back down to strawweight.
Interesting. That's a definite wrench in that, and she probably has a skill set that, if you're Wei Li, is definitely concerning.
Yes.
All right, let's get into the card coming up this weekend. If anyone has any fights they want to know our opinions on, just throw them in the chat. We'll look at the odds and we'll take a look at it. But it's a fight night. It's Krylov versus Spann is the headliner. It's minus 178 for Krylov, plus 144 for Spann. Trying to see what's the time prop on it. Going the distance is minus 850. No. Method of victory is KO or submission. That's what they think it's going to be. They think it's going to be Nikita Krylov by submission.
That's very interesting.
It's plus 230 for that. That's the one with the lowest odds. You want to go first or second?
I would say I would. Yeah, I could see Krylov winning by submission. I think Krylov. I think Krylov is rightly the favorite. I have him to win.
I'm taking Spann.
Oh, interesting. Unfortunately,
I picked against him too many times, and he keeps winning. So this is just I'm tired of picking against.
Let's see who is he won against? He won.
Didn't he just beat Dom Reyes?
Yeah, he's only on a 2-fight streak. He won against.
That was at MSG, right? We watched that one.
He won against Kudelaba and Dominic Reyes, which not terrible
those
wins.
Aren't really impressive, but
Kudelaba is. Yeah, he's had a rough streak. He's lost to Kennedy. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Kennedy Nzechukwu, Johnny Walker, and Spann. And before that, he had a win
over Walker with a resurgence. We're seeing Johnny Walker hype, which is so crazy. He could have like a couple bad losses. He just has one win, and he just jumps right back to the top.
Well, the thing is, like, the people he's winning against, they're people he should beat.
He should beat.
He hasn't really shown much technical improvement. I mean, against Kudelaba, he did. He was able to get a submission and showed some ground game, but he's still a bit wild. Still just kind of leaves his chin up. We'll see. He has an upcoming fight against Anthony Smith. And speaking of Anthony Smith is Ryan Spann's last loss.
Your boy Anthony Smith, who you met at the pub.
Our boy Anthony Smith.
You did not want to talk to old Lionheart.
Yeah. Our boy Anthony Smith, who also
and the Irish Dragon.
He said some questionable things about John Jones. He said John Jones is not that skilled.
All right, that leads us. Okay, so we got a question. What's up, David? Thanks for joining us. We did kind of touch on Jones and Gane earlier, but we could jump into it. You're the most important person, so we'll jump on it again.
John, Eugene, I like where your head's at.
John, so we'll talk about Jones versus Gane here. Jones is a -156 favorite. Gane is +132. To go the distance, I think it's -132 yes, and then like +120 no. I have this. I have Jones over Gane, and my reasoning is I think that there's a very, very big disparity in experience between Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane. And I think Jon Jones has known that he's going to be fighting Ciryl Gane for the better part of a year here. It's been no secret that Francis Ngannou is not going to re-sign with the UFC. Therefore, I think, Dana White probably gave him the heads up. You're probably going to be fighting Ciryl Gane at heavyweight for the title. The UFC needs Jon Jones to win this fight. Jon Jones clearly needs to win this fight. And I think everything stacks up in his favor here. That kind of sounds like I'm guaranteeing a Jones win. I'll be completely frank. If Gane wins, it wouldn't be the biggest shock to me considering Jones' last couple fights. I don't particularly like the things that Jones has done. He's not a nice guy, but winning UFC fights isn't about being a nice guy. And I think his wrestling will be the difference here. And I'm taking Jones to win, and I'm going to say he does it within the distance.
Wow! All right.
I think it's going to be a submission or a ground and pound TKO.
Oof.
Go, Justin.
The only people he's been able to finish hasn't been in the cage in recent years, so I don't know.
No, I don't think he can finish either. He has to use dick pills, right?
Well, that's not a problem with finishing. That's a problem with starting.
Oh, well.
Which also has been a problem in the cage. Yeah, we haven't seen him in 3 years.
All right.
I think I disagree. I think Gane takes this. Jones has shown a lot of trouble fighting against strikers his size, against Gus and Reyes. I think that Gane's footwork and range management and cage cutting is going to be too much for Jones. I think Gane is going to keep him at the end of his jab and his teeps. His stance switching, I think, is also going to give Jones problems. Reyes gave Jones a lot of problems. And Reyes is a southpaw. Gane can fight very comfortably out of both stances. I think his takedown defense will be enough to get him 3 rounds. I think it's going to be enough to have him survive and keep it standing on the feet. And I think Gane is going to be the hardest puncher Jones has ever faced. I think we're really going to see John's chin tested, and I'm hoping that we see it cracked and broken. But we'll see.
Yeah. I'm almost at the point where I might guarantee a Jones win here. But yeah. All right. Well, let us know your thoughts, David. Who do you think is going to win there? Interested to hear your thoughts. And shout out to our boy Eugene.
Yeah.
Eugene thinks Jon Jones loses. In life, he's lost quite a bit. So I guess it depends on what we're saying he's going to lose in. So I don't think he's going to lose this fight against Ciryl Gane. But Justin sure does. I won't shed tears though.
In Jon Jones' mind, he's never lost. He's always just gotten another test by God.
Fascinating. He really. They should take that loss against Hamill off though. That's the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah, not a loss. Yeah, have you seen him recently?
You know what? I guess it's even now, right? For like the Reyes fight, I guess it's even.
No, because Hamilton beat him, but Reyes did.
Yeah.
John's recently been advocating for his DC win to be, or his DC no contest to be overturned to a win now that USADA has changed their testing protocols.
I don't care about that. We know he won. Whatever. If you didn't want,
yeah, we know he won, and we know he was on roids for that.
Yeah, but according to you, you think DC might have been too.
Not might have been. He most certainly was.
All right, so sounds like fair play to me. Looking at on that card, the other one that kind of pops out is we got Augusto Sakai versus someone we mentioned earlier, Dontel Mays. It's almost a pick 'em here. Sakai is minus 134. Mays is plus 110. Sakai just kind of like leaves his head like a piñata to be hit. I think there was a lot of hype. His hype train's kind of been derailed a little bit. And I think I'm going Mays here. I'm going back-to-back underdogs here.
I think Mays by I think Mays by crotch TKO.
All right. Crotch. Yeah. David said,
I don't know if you've seen, but who was it? I think it was against his fight against Josh Parisian, but Mays took him down, had top position, and transitioned to a north-south position where like
yeah, I got it.
You can imagine, and
yeah, they can Google
towards the end of the round, Mays was just literally just driving his hips into Parisian's head.
I remember this. I do remember this. That was a funny moment. And then Parisian gets up like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just like, what was that?
I mean, technically, that is a strike, right? Would we count that as a significant strike? It's pretty significant to me.
I don't know.
David said, well, yeah, Gane is an amazing striker, and John Jones has been on a 3-year hiatus and is new to heavyweight, I believe. Yep, this will be Jones's first fight at heavyweight. Those are valid points, and I think that's kind of baked into the line that we see here, where this is the lowest we've seen a John Jones betting line since he was like 22 years old versus Stephan Bonner. So I think all of that's baked in. But what I would say is John Jones isn't new to fighting. He's probably sparred and wrestled heavyweights before. Jesus, his brothers, I mean, Chandler Jones is what, 270? Arthur Jones is 320. Guy was an offensive guard in the league. He's been fighting heavyweights his whole life. I think he'll, and I kind of would push back a little bit on Gane's one of the bigger heavyweights. He doesn't push the 264 limit. I think him and Jones will come in at about the same weight. I don't think that there will be that big of a difference there. It's not like he's fighting Ngannou, who comes in at the heavyweight limit, or Lewis, who comes in at the heavyweight limit.
Yeah, Lewis comes in at the heavyweight limit because
Papas. Yeah. Another sponsorship we will happily take.
Yeah.
just so we can get our grandma chicken sandwiches.
Yeah. But yeah, this is Jones' first foray into heavyweight after him talking about it for 10 years.
Yeah.
I do think the weight will be.
I mean, when he was first talking about it, though, he was trying to come up to fight Brock, which I think me and you both agree he would absolutely destroy Brock.
Yeah.
And then he kind of stopped talking about it when it was Cain Velasquez. I mean, who would want to fight Cain? Peak EPO roided out Cain Velasquez.
Sea level Cain.
Like Cain was on, Cain was on TRT, right?
I don't know about safety, but he's definitely on something.
I don't know. I don't want to get sued before we get to 50 views. So maybe we should cool it on that. But
Yeah.
there's definitely, when USADA happened and after USADA, there was definitely a difference in Kane's body. I'm not here to say whether he did or did not, but there was definitely, I felt like, a big difference.
Well, Kane's also just been plagued by chronic injuries his whole career.
Yeah.
Similar to someone like Dominic Cruz.
Bad knees. Remember when he came back and we thought he was gonna? He came back against Ngannou and was like a minus 275 favorite.
Came back and got starched.
Said his knee blew out. It's like, I think more you got.
No, his knee did blow out, but because he got knocked out and all his weight went onto one knee.
Yeah. He got sent to the shadow realm.
Yeah, but I think the weight's going to be difficult for John. I think moving around a bigger opponent like Gane for 25 minutes will not go well.
I disagree, man. And I know you don't know this, but Chandler Jones is an all-pro defensive end. And if we're looking at genetically, Chandler Jones is able to bend around big motherfuckers like no one else. He's one of the more athletic defensive ends that we've seen in the last decade. I push back on that. I think he's going to carry the weight just fine. I know it's kind of reductionist theory here, but looking at it genetically, Chandler Jones has had no problem with
I'm not saying the extra weight for Jones is going to give him issue. I'm saying moving that extra weight against Gane will give him issues because I mean, Jones struggled to take down Reyes, and not only that, but if I'm not mistaken, Jones said in an interview he was hesitant to take down Thiago Santos because he was scared of the counters. He was like, he thought in terms of risk assessment, he was like, why am I going to risk taking him down and eating a hellacious uppercut when I can just outstrike him on the feet? But then he couldn't really outstrike. I mean, he did outstrike Santos on the feet.
He outstruck him once he tore his ACL.
Yeah, it proved to be very difficult to outstrike him. And even then, even on no knees, Santos was still a knockout threat.
I don't think we're going to see that Jones where that Jones at light heavyweight at that point in his career was just like, I'm so bored, I'm going to try to beat you at what you're a specialist at. We're not going to see that Jones at heavyweight. I think he sticks to what he's good at. But are there any fights here? Those are the two kind of two of the bigger ones. The other kind of bigger fight is Tatiana Suarez, but she's a minus 800 favorite. Hats off to you that's a parlay builder to me. I don't think either of us have De La Rosa beating her. That would be a Juliana Pena level upset.
Yeah, the only way De La Rosa beats her is if Suarez is still just super injured. But from all accounts, she is healthy, so she should run through De La Rosa.
Any fights on this card that stand out to you a little bit?
Down on the early prelims, Rafael Alves versus Nurullo Aliev.
Alves is plus 152.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Aliev is minus 188.
What is it? Aliev is getting a lot of hype because he's from that Eastern European, that Caucasus region where a lot of good grapplers come out of, and he has some resemblance to Khabib. He also looked really good on his Contender Series fight. But Rafael Alves is, I want to say, like a top 25 lightweight. He gave Drew Dober some problems. He gave Damir Ismagulov a tough fight. He wasn't easy to hold down. And he hits hard. He has good submissions. He has a good ground game. He has against Damir Ismagulov, he hit a really cool stand up where he basically just breakdanced on him to get up. It was really cool. And I think Aliev is too young and green. He's only 23 years old, and this is his UFC debut. I think Alves should take that. And even if he doesn't, I think it's going to be a good fight anyways. I think it should be fun.
So not a lock for plus 152, but you think it's value?
Yeah, I think so.
But
I'm always on the stance. Don't bet, but there's worse ones you can make.
We gotta give the viewers something.
No, well, take Alvis. Plus 155 is pretty good.
So you think it's value, but not a value lock? Okay.
No.
Sounds like a parlay builder to me. Let's see what Alves and Grasso nets you. Oh, look at that. Alves and Suarez together is plus 183, nearly 2-1 on your money.
Yeah. Do you want? You could add Sakai to that. I think Sakai should beat Dontel Mays.
Oh, you're taking Sakai. I thought you were taking Span.
No, Sakai versus Mays.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought you were taking Mays on that one. You're taking Sakai.
Yeah, you said Span, but yeah, I'm taking Sakai just because looking at their resumes, Sakai has the better wins. Everybody at heavyweight hits hard, but Sakai hits a little harder. And Mays just has some bad losses. He just has some not good losses. Even his wins are not good.
We'll find out if MMA math holds up.
We will.
Let's jump to the March 4th card, and then we'll wrap it up there.
March 4th, that's 285, right?
Yeah, big card.
Oh yeah, this card's pretty stacked.
It's a absolutely stacked card. So I mean, the first fight pops up is Ian Gary versus Song Kenan. Ian Gary is from Ireland, right?
He is.
He's part of I think he's part of SBG Ireland.
I don't think he is.
Oh no? I thought he was.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's from a different gym, but you can check really quickly.
I feel like he's hyping.
He's fighting. He trains out of in Florida, out of Killcliff FC, formerly known as Sanford MMA.
Oh wow, crazy!
And he trains down there with Henry Hoofts.
He is tight with Connor though. That I do know. He is tight. Connor. There's a photo. There's a photo.
They're both just Irish, so
yeah. Well, we'll see. He's a minus 560. That looks like a parlay builder to me.
He probably should. He should win that against.
I think he's still in that. He's still in the UFC's feeding him cans phase of his career.
Yeah, and he's still young. I think. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's only like 24. So he's 25. So yeah, he still has a ways to go. He still has a lot of skill development to go. But
Dricus Duplessis versus Brunson.
That's gonna be fun. That's a potential fight of the night right there.
Brunson's plus 184 here.
That makes sense. I think Duplessis should be able to handle that.
Yeah. Is he the next guy there?
I don't think he'll be champ, but he will be I think he'll be a top 5 guy, and I think he'll be a fan favorite because he bangs. Dude just walks forward and throws haymakers. And he's super athletic, hits hard, is willing to take 2 shots to give 1.
I missed him on my radar, and I got put on him with the Till fight, and I was shocked that reading his bio and looking at him, he wants the fight to be on the feet, and then just seeing that he was a minus like 250 favorite against Till, that blew my mind. And I remember bringing it up to you, and you were like, "No, he should knock him out." It's crazy to see that, where I just never thought someone would have that much of an advantage versus Till on the feet.
Well, I think that more just speaks to the waning confidence in Till.
Yeah.
Just as Till seems
He's in a tough spot right now.
Yeah, his hype train's been derailed. He's
still very young, though. I don't think the book's closed on him.
No, I don't even, I think he's only 29. He's not old.
No.
But he needs a style overhaul.
I think he tried to do that with Hamzat's team and Team Sweden a little bit there, but I don't know. He's not on this card, so let's stick to who's on the card. Cody Garbrandt coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back again. Coming back pretty low in the rankings too. He's fighting Trevin Jones, who is not ranked at bantamweight. This is probably
he needs a win.
Yeah, this is probably a layup for Garbrandt.
He's minus 168.
Yeah, the odds are closer than I expected, but Garbrandt should win this. Should pretty solidly.
If he doesn't, this is it for him.
Oh yeah. This is kind of a make or break fight.
Kind of? No, kind of.
It is.
I think he's probably the person in most need in terms of former champions. He needs a win the most.
Yeah, Trevin Jones is on a 3-fight skid against admittedly not bad fighters, but they're none of them are top 15. Which
and to be fair to Garbrandt, it's not like he was losing to Cans.
No, he was losing against top five guys, but he should not.
The Kai Kara France loss was a little shocking, though.
Yeah. Nah, not to me. That was not shocking.
No, you were on that. You called that. But to me, it was like I didn't see him losing to It was weird to see someone faster than Cody Garbrandt. Let me put it that way.
I just going into that, I knew Kai Kara France hits very hard for flyweight. He's up there for very hard hitters. He's probably just right below Figgy. And I knew that technically he's a better striker than Garbrandt, and also I figured Garbrandt's the weight cut would be too much.
Yeah, it showed. He looked gaunt going into that fight. It didn't look good for him.
Yeah. No.
But I think minus 168, that kind of sticks out to me a little bit. I don't know if I would take that straight, but I'd probably make it a parlay builder there. If he doesn't win that, he should retire. That should be it. Like we mentioned earlier, Shevchenko versus Grasso. It's the lowest we've seen Shevchenko in a little bit. She's minus 620. You looking at anything with Grasso there at plus 460?
Not really.
Right. Next, let's get to the better fight then. Jeff Neal versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. The guy that Justin thinks is going to beat Hamzat.
Yeah, I think him and Hamzat are on a collision course for a title fight.
It's going to be glorious.
Yeah. I think Shavkat. I think he probably subs Neal, if not dominant decision.
Are you a little concerned that he's minus 460? So I see minus 460, and I think that's low for Shavkat, especially where he's kind of been lately. But Jeff Neal plus 360 is almost one of those scenarios where it's like, Jesus, Jeff Neal getting 3.5 to 1 against anybody is kind of crazy.
It is, especially Jeff Neal does hit very hard. He can spark almost anybody in the division, but he's kind of one-dimensional.
I don't see it. I think Shavkat kind of runs through him.
Yeah, he really could not handle with the frame of Magny, nor Magny's clinch work or grappling, and we saw Shavkat just run through Magny. So
yeah,
I think we're going to see a similar. And if Shavkat watches that Magny fight, he's like, I can do that, but better.
Yeah, I think that's a gift there, man. I'm minus 460 on Shavkat. That seems like a gift to me. The biggest disparity in odds is Bo Nickel versus Jamie Pickett. Bo Nickel's minus 1,500. Any shot Pickett takes that?
Probably not.
Probably not. He's plus 870, Justin.
Probably not. I mean, hey, we've seen bigger upsets.
I think that's Nunez Pena level there. Little less.
I think Bo Nickel already has a better win on his resume than Jamie Pickett. His last one on the Contender Series was against a guy that was a regional champ. But
he's gonna run through him, huh?
Yeah. Also, I don't think Pickett's that good. Yeah.
Again,
Bo Nickel should run through him. Pickett got he's gotten subbed and taken down. Pickett should win. Pickett should win.
Not Pickett.
Nickel should win. Nickel should win.
I don't think that's pretty. So this comes to probably to me, in my opinion, the most interesting fight on the card, outside of the main event, Jalen Turner versus Matus Gamrot.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Turner is a freak at lightweight. It makes no sense that he's 6'3" and he's able to make lightweight. Like that's literally mind blowing. And if he wins this, I think he starts to emerge in the lightweight contending discussion.
Certainly so, yeah. Gamrot's ranked number 7, so if Turner wins him, he'll be in that top 7, just right outside the top 5.
Well, I think that's if you get inside the top 7, I think you're one phone call away from a title shot.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. It's short notice for both of them. I mean, Turner was already in camp.
Plus 144 for Turner.
Yeah, Turner was already in camp preparing for Dan Hooker, and then I think it was
Hooker's hurt.
Yeah, I think it was like a week ago, right? That it got switched to Gamrot, and completely different style matchup. Gamrot is
not too much overlap there, no.
Yeah, no. Gamrot's just bite down on the mouthpiece and just grind out those takedowns. Just shot, reshot, double leg after double leg, and anything you can get, just wearing you down. Gamrot has very good cardio. This is going to be short notice, so we'll see if it's still up to par. But I think it should be still quite up there. For Turner, in his recent run at lightweight, we haven't really seen him against a good grappler. Everyone he's fought has been either not good or just a stand-up artist. He has a very good win over Brad Riddell.
Right.
He has the guillotine choke, which I put a lot of stock in Brad Riddell, and that sub.
We saw that at the Garden, right?
No, that was Moicano subbing Riddell, but we saw Turner versus Riddell was on the UFC 276 Adesanya versus Cannonier.
Gotcha. Did you hear why Moicano says he curses so much?
Why?
He said he learned English by playing Call of Duty.
That'll do it. Turner seems to have not a bad ground game. He has some good subs on his resume, and he seems to have a good stand-up ability. He hits hard. He dropped Riddell in the opening minute of the fight. But Gamrot's just a whole different beast. We'll have to see. Gun to my head, I take Gamrot in this. I think his pressure and takedowns will just be too much for Turner. I think it's just a step up a little too far, a little out of Turner's reach right now. I think he needs a little more development.
I think there's a little value there, but it seems like a trap line. I'll probably stay away from this one. I'll be rooting for Turner though.
Yeah. It would be cool. It would be cool to see him win.
Looking a little bit ahead.
He's fighting out of. He's from San Bernardino.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, a little bit of a connection, I suppose. I can't get out of my head that Moicano feels like the Fiziev stoppage was early, and it's like,
no,
that was maybe the best combo that we've seen in a little bit. That was pretty fucking nasty.
It was very good. I thought it was a fair stoppage.
He couldn't walk afterwards. He fell again.
Yeah.
Anyways, that Fiziev him versus Gaethje is going to be absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, there's 4 fights left on the docket. They're kind of future fights. It's Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. Usman is a minus 250 favorite, and I really feel like that's kind of crazy. I don't see that, man. I just don't.
What makes you think it's crazy?
Edwards won, and it wasn't as like. Okay, so we watched that fight together. We had Usman up 3-1 going into the 5th round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leon won round 1, I think, rather handedly. I think it was pretty clear he won round 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then Usman kind of went to smushing. But he struggled to hold him down a little bit there. And, they have 10 rounds of fighting together now. And I think it's what? Usman has...
No, it's like
8?
7.
8?
It's like 7 rounds. Because the first fight was only a 3-rounder.
So 7.5, 8 rounds. Because it almost went the distance in the 5th round.
Yeah, I think it was only like a minute from ending, something like that.
Yeah. So let's say 8 rounds. How many of those do we have Usman winning? 5? Because their first fight, I remember, I think it was like a 2-1. I don't think it was a 3-0 Usman.
I think it was 3-0.
Really? Maybe I remembered incorrectly. But I was under the guise of, I thought it's 5 rounds to 3 with Leon. Usman with 5 rounds won, and Leon with 3 plus the KO. To me, that's not a minus 250 line to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the line's fair.
I think it should be closer to like a minus 200 plus 160 kind of deal.
Oh, okay. Their first fight was a UD for Usman, 2 29-28s and 1 30-27. Oh.
Okay, so let's say 5-3 with a knockout.
Well, even with the knockout, Usman was still winning that round up until that point.
I think it was kind of.
Nah, Usman was winning that.
I don't know.
The commentary team was literally writing Edwards' obituary.
They were. We watched it together. And yeah, but if you remember, I was saying, what is he doing? He's taking unnecessary risks.
No.
I was yelling that. I was like, what are you doing? You're taking unnecessary risks here. And then I kept saying, what are you doing? For at about the 3-minute mark, you if we could re-record our viewing party, it's me saying, what the fuck is he doing? Why is he doing this? He's just take the win. He put himself at unnecessary risk, and it's hard for me to believe. Here's my reason why I don't think it should be minus 250 Usman. Usman's path to victory is a UD. You know what I mean? It's a UD. It's a unanimous decision. It's hard for me to believe in those 5 rounds there isn't going to be another opportunity for Edwards to knock him out. I don't think that it's minus 2.5 to 1. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. I'm not, and like I'm saying it should be minus 200 to plus 170. I don't think that's that big of a disparity. I just think minus 250 it's a little weird to me. But you're okay with that?
I think it's fair. A big thing that we have to consider with the rematch, with the second fight, is that it was that elevation up there in Salt Lake City. A lot of fighters complained about about not having enough oxygen, about gassing too early. So we have to see how if that plays any effect now that this fight's going to be, it's in London, if I'm not mistaken.
It is going to be in London.
Yeah. So yeah, see if that does anything. Yeah, it's at the O2 Arena. How fitting! It's at the O2 Arena.
Fair.
Yeah, I think I think Usman's definitely gonna implement a more grappling heavy game plan. Considering the success he had in the second fight, where Leon just couldn't deal with the clinch. And even still, Usman was still striking him for most of that.
I'm not. This isn't me saying that I think Leon's going to win. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think the odds are a little out of whack there. But let's get to what up, Guru the Pig. Thanks for joining us. His question is, or her question is, their question, yeah, I got to work on that. Their question is, would UFC fans be more satisfied with a dominant Jon Jones victory or an epic Gane KO where Bones goes down face first? Okay.
I can tell you which one I'd be more satisfied
I already know
with.
where you're at. I think my answer is going to surprise people. I am picking Jones to win, but in regards to this question, I think it's the latter. I think the fans would be way, way more happy with epic Gane KO. If he was the KO, but read what he asked. If he was the KO Jones and Jones falls face first, that would be amazing. Now, in terms of the UFC business wise, they need Jones to win, or the Ngannou thing blows up in their face. I've said that many times. But we're just talking about from the fans' perspective. That would be amazing to see Jon Jones face planted. That'd be amazing. That would be the most unprecedented thing of 2023 so far in the sports world.
I think there's more.
That is. We're talking about the consensus GOAT of UFC.
Yeah, hold on. If Jones comes back from a 3-year hiatus, moving up a weight class, and scores a dominant victory over the number one contender at heavyweight, would that not be just as crazy, even more insane?
We've seen that before.
No, but not with Jones. We've seen
that before. GSP did it.
Yeah, but GSP did that against Michael Bisping, which no disrespect against Michael Bisping, but Michael Bisping was not the number one middleweight.
Yes, they handpicked it.
Yeah, yes. But this is not. This is the number one contender at heavyweight.
I agree with you to a certain extent there, Justin. But what I'm saying is we've seen that already. Have we seen GSP face planted?
Yes. Yes.
By who?
Sarah.
Oh, well, that was more amazing.
Yeah, but no, I think Jon Jones has far more supporters than haters, because in the question it says UFC fans. In my mind, if you're just a UFC fan, like if you're an MMA fan but you only watch the UFC, you're not to say this disrespectfully, but you're probably still casual, and you still see the UFC stars as like the biggest stars, and that's who you root for.
Are you talking about the average fan?
Yeah, the average fan. I'm talking about the average fan. I think the average fan, even if they are aware of like all of Jones's misdeeds, they either write it off or they're like, oh, but he's still the best. So I think I think fans would be more satisfied with a Jones win, because that would stop the GOAT conversation. It would kind of have to be Jones.
I don't think so. I don't think it would stop it. He'd still have to try to get that Ngannou fight, but I don't think. I think that that's going to happen. I think that that's what's going to happen. I said I think Jones is going to finish this within the distance. I think his fight IQ is going to be the big difference between him and Gane. So for me, I think a Gane KO where Jones gets face planted is that's way crazier, way more satisfying of a result to me. And that's just because I think Jones is going to come back and win.
Yeah, but I think even if that happens, just one last thing on this, I think even if that happens, most fans would probably write it off just saying, "Oh, Jones is old now, should have stayed at light heavyweight," blah 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 blah. Versus the other outcome, I think that'd be.
I think it depends on how
much more of the population.
If he gets face planted, I think there's a lot more questions, and I think it'll be a bad look. If he loses to Gane, how like Izzy lost to Jan, where it's like, oh, it's just the weight difference. I think then that's different. But next question from Guru the Pig: are you guys interested in the eventual findings from the James Krause scandal? Schaub alluded to more major fallout on the JRE fight companion that resembles a pyramid scheme. I think that Schaub definitely knows something there. I think that's, I don't want to say obvious because that's someone's reputation. There's something weird going on there. And I do think that there is something, let me put it this way. I think it's the Ottawa Commission that ceased all UFC fights. They took no more bets on it. When you see commissions get involved and they start halting action on things, where there's smoke, there's fire there. And luckily, I knew about this because of you, sir, Justin, where you called it out. You called it out from the beginning, where Krause was doing openly. The crazy part about this is that this was openly done for a while.
Oh yeah. I'm very interested in the findings from this scandal because I think it's huge. It's huge. I think the UFC is trying to sweep it under the rug, but I think this is going to have major implications for not just how betting is conducted with the UFC, but just how the sport itself is conducted. There's a great YouTube documentary by this channel called MMA and throughout that documentary, they show how this scandal is just a culmination of all the UFC's misdoings and bad practices finally coming together to form just a major shitstorm. The lack of fighter pay, the lack of healthcare, the lack of resources for fighters, it all drives them to desperation. And one of the ways that fighters can make, or at least one of the ways fighters think they can make a lot of money, is betting, especially when they have inside information about who's injured, who's not injured, stuff like that. And Krause isn't, more than likely, Krause is not the only person that has done this, but he has been the most public. And
undoubtedly not. Undoubtedly not.
He's not.
Undoubtedly not. We'll get to that, Justin. Let's stay on this and then we'll get to that. But yeah, undoubtedly he is not the first one. And I do think, to kind of extrapolate this to a bigger thing, every sport has kind of dealt with something like this during their inception. I don't think we've seen a sport go from zero to where they are now quite like the UFC during our lifetime. But every sport has dealt with this, where, in the MLB, you have the Black Sox, where they are underpaid players. And because of that, we're talking about at a time where being a professional athlete didn't pay the bills. And there was sharks that came in, and it's why Shoeless Joe Jackson is not in the Hall of Fame, despite being one of the best players of his generation. You look at basketball, where you have this your school, sir, City of New York, City College of New York, where there is a point shaving scandal to where players are trying to pay for their families. We've seen it in. I'm sure there are instances of it in the NFL, and there, as recently for the NBA with Tim Donaghy. This is part of the deal with gambling, and I think you hit the nail on the head. What causes it is a sense of desperation where fighters, it all kind of leads back to fighter pay, where you have your athletes feeling like they're not getting paid enough, and it leads desperate people to do desperate things. But I don't think James Krause is that. I'm talking about, I don't think he's the only one. I think Krause, I really think I think he's done in the UFC.
Yeah. Not just done in the UFC, done in the MMA industry. No one's going to want to attach their name to him. And not just that, he might face actual jail time.
I think that's coming around the corner for sure, and no one's going to protect him.
Yeah.
Thoughts about Megan Anderson's comments on Sanko and Krause's affair right before the gambling controversy? Was Krause smashing both of them? Oh my God. I'm unfamiliar with this. Are you aware of this, Justin?
I heard about this when Megan Anderson first tweeted this out. I think since then she's deleted them. But her and Krause would not be surprising. We do see this coach and fighter dynamic play out quite a bit. It's a little concerning, a little unsettling. It definitely seems like an imbalance of power. Bucky, no.
Bucky doesn't agree.
No, Bucky doesn't agree. But
he thinks coaches should be able to do whatever they want.
Yeah. Was Krause smashing both of them?
It's a fun story.
Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I kind of
that Riz would be something else. That would be incredible Riz on James Krause's part.
Yeah.
Would you ever have a one-off superior genetic child with Megan Anderson if it guaranteed you a long reigning, retiring, undefeated future UFC champion, no strings attached? Two taken men can't answer that one. I'm out on that one.
Yeah, but in terms of superior genetics, I don't think Megan Anderson is the gal.
I don't think Megan Anderson is who I'd be going for in that hypothetical.
Yeah. But, in terms of superior genetics, I think you'd take someone like who would you take? Romero. He's got them fucking just insane. He's got them insane.
We're Gattaking a child.
Yeah.
We're
creating a child in a test tube.
You would take Romero over Pereira right now? I think Pereira is more accomplished than anything Romero's done.
Striking wise, sure, but
I think Pereira dusts Romero.
Get the fuck out of here.
What?
Get the fuck out of here.
Are you? Stop it.
No way. No way.
Stop it.
Prime Romero would do what he did to Machida, but worse to Pereira.
He would what?
He would do what he did to Machida, but worse to Pereira.
Stop it. Pereira would destroy Romero.
No. That's easy. That's easy blast double for Romero.
Keep feeding us the questions. Here we go. What is Masvidal's proudest moment so far? Knockout of Till, 3-piece and soda Edwards, Askren flying knee, BMF belt against Diaz, or sucker punching Colby at Pocket Steakhouse in front of the Nelk boys. His proudest. I mean, it's got to be Askren's flying knee. It's hard to beat that. Didn't he get that tattooed on him?
I think he did, which is like that's pretty
kind of cringy. That's kind of cringy to me.
Yeah,
that's kind of cringy to me. Like Michael Jordan doesn't have the Jordan logo tattooed on him. That's I think his best overall performance would probably be against Diaz. We were there live for that at MSG, and it was a bad stoppage, but I think he was well on his way to winning that fight.
Yeah, I mean his best performance definitely Askren, just because 5-second knockout. But that's what literally brought him all his fame and fortune. But in terms of his that's definitely his proudest performance. But in terms of his best performance, probably his win over Cerrone. Because at the time Cerrone was ranked number 6 at welterweight. I think he was. I think Cerrone was on the cusp of a title shot before he lost to Masvidal. Yeah. Cerrone was on a 4-fight win streak with good wins over Rick Story and Matt Brown. So I think that's probably his best win. Either that or Till. Just the Till win has not aged too gracefully. Even though
playing semantics though, let's go by proudest. It's got to be Colby.
Yeah, in terms by Jorge's code of ethics, yeah, probably.
I mean, it might cost him in civil court, but I don't know. The Colby Jorge thing is like I just don't want. I don't know. I don't know who to like. Who's worse?
Yeah. I mean,
you can't talk about people's kids. I will say that. I don't think it's outside the realm of like comprehension that you go. Colby went too far. Let me put it that way. He went too far.
Can't talk about people's kids, but you also can't just assault people just because you don't like them.
I agree. No, that's why I was saying, like, I don't think either is okay, but I don't know, man. What were you thinking when you, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. To me, I thought that wasn't.
That actually might be Jorge's proudest moment, because right after that, he uploaded a video to Twitter just basically bragging about sucker punching Colby, which is just the most insane thing to post.
His lawyer is probably like, no.
Yeah.
I think the other thing there is he's in a lawsuit with the Cowas now. Isn't that kind of crazy? Like him and the Cowas kind of.
Yeah, I don't think the Cows have ever been good managers, so it's funny to see everyone ditching them.
No. I've told you about this, that they're not. Some of the decisions that they've made, you know what I mean? Like where it was like, what are they doing? We've talked about that for a while. That's not new, but apparently that there was some improprieties done. Who knows there? I don't know, but he's under new management now, and I don't know. He's going to have his hands full of Gilbert Burns. I'm struggling to see how he beats Gilbert Burns at the moment. Is the UFC missing a hood fighter like Tank Davis? And why do you think a major star from a project hasn't crossed over yet? From a project? Oh, from the projects? I mean, it just kind of depends on what you want to call a hood. I mean, Francis Ngannou came from pounding sand.
Yeah, I think Guru means American hoods, because
like what, Bobby Green?
Yeah, but he's not really a star.
He's-
Because a lot of fighters come from very impoverished backgrounds. Like Charles Oliveira comes from the favelas of Brazil, which are
yeah.
they are slums.
So I guess the question is America specifically. I mean, Masvidal probably counts there.
Yeah.
Got to start on. They tried Kimbo Slice.
They had Mike Perry.
Mike Perry. So I think probably the initial dichotomy there. Oh, what about Ortega? Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
Brian Ortega qualifies there. Yeah, I think we'll start to see it more and more, and I think we'll see MMA as an outlet for certain people in underrepresented neighborhoods, and I think it can be an outlet for our minorities to get out of there, to get out of the struggle. I think probably the initial kind of obstacle is going to be martial arts. It is expensive, and that's probably the initial roadblock. But I think as we get better and better instructors and more people valuing it, I think we'll start to see more come.
Yeah, I think I think it has to do with MMA still being a relatively young sport. It's still the UFC just had their 30th year anniversary. Boxing attracts more people just because at the top end of the sport, it offers so much more money, and also it probably is cheaper to get into. And in terms of American culture, it's a lot more ingrained than MMA is. Heck, how many people you still just think wrestling and grappling is just two people humping each other? In terms of fighting, especially here in America, fighting is seen as throwing fists. That's what real fighting is. And boxing. That's what boxing is. It's just striking.
I mean, this feels kind of like a subjective kind of determining who's hood and who's not. You tell me who you think. Tell me who you think has a shot to do it. I don't think Brian Ortega sucks. That's ridiculous. He's at minimum top 7 at his weight.
He loses to Topuria, though.
To who?
Topuria. Ilia Topuria.
You think he's going to lose?
I think. Yeah,
I don't know
if Topuria beats him.
I don't know if he's recovered from that beatdown Volkanovski gave him. That might have been career changing there.
Going back to the star question, I think it plays into a broader subject. I don't think the UFC is in the interest of making stars anymore. The UFC is very much focused on just having their brand be the biggest part of it. They want people to recognize the brand, not really the fighters. Whereas in boxing, the fighters are what sell pay-per-views. You need a big star. So I think that could also answer the question why we haven't seen a hood fighter crossover. And also, it's just like no one's been no one from like MMA. Like we have good talkers and interesting personalities, but like in terms of Tyson, Mayweather, no one's been as good as them on the mic.
Yeah, I just think the infrastructure right now sets up to have more people go to boxing than there does MMA, and I couldn't tell you when I think that that's going to happen per se. That's a tough question.
Yeah,
I think it'll happen sooner than you think.
Yeah, in terms of like where what sports funnel into, it's definitely your big 3 first, right? NBA, NFL, MLB, and then you get your lower rung sports like boxing, and then MMA is like even further down on the list.
I don't know. MLB might be in the lower rungs right now, just from a engagement standpoint with its fans.
Yeah, that might be a bad example.
Is the UFC so desperate for a new star that they try to gaslight an entire fan base into believing Sugar Sean is a superstar? Okay, first off, thank you. These questions are amazing. So big shouts to you. And in terms of O'Malley, it does kind of feel like they're trying to force feed him down our throats a little bit here. I didn't have him beating Jan. I don't think he beat Jan, and I don't think he beat him in a rematch. But he does. They're looking for anyone that's they're just at that point right now where they're trying to spark anyone who sparks anything. They're trying, and I think O'Malley is a top again. A top 7 fighter at his weight class. I don't see him as the number 1 contender. I don't think he beats Aljo. I don't think he beats Cejudo. I don't think he beats Sanhagen. I don't think he didn't beat Cheeto. But unfortunately, at times it's about eyeballs, and he's probably going to get a title shot. He might get the next one.
I mean, Cejudo already has one, but
yeah, no, Cejudo has Aljo, but I'm talking about afterwards. Sean O'Malley's probably going to get the winner of that. It's hard to believe that he beats either Cejudo or Aljo. Yeah. No, hey, look, man, it's a whole different generation. You'd kind of seen the UFC kind of pivot to that demographic. They have deals with the Nelk boys. I'm trying to say this without it being controversial. I don't like punching down or being demeaning towards anyone, but I'll say a story about when we went to the first MSG that we went to, Justin, and we're in New York at Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden's typically, it's in New York City. It's more of a liberal city. And it was fascinating for us to see Trump show up at the event. And I'm going to say this, Justin can say what he thought it was. I thought when Trump showed up, I thought it was 50% in support of him, 50% booing him. And you have to understand that, at its core, sometimes with the UFC, it is a warrior sport. It is a savage sport. Its fan base isn't made up. I don't want to say that there aren't any intellectuals watching the UFC, but that's not the meat and potatoes of its audience. There is the element of liking WWE. There is the element of that warrior kind of spirit. And they lean a certain type of way. And someone like Sugar Sean, he forces you to either love him or hate him. There's no in between.
Yeah. I think Sean is also just the UFC's attempt to capture younger generation, just because they seem to think he's what appeals to newer fans. I'm a part of that younger generation, and I think Sean's pretty cringe.
Yeah. Not my cup of tea. I try to judge him solely on his fighting ability. He's pretty good with his hands. He does kind of have like an awkward kind of striking. But I think he has a type of style where if he loses a step, he's walking a tightrope a little bit. Some of the things he does rely solely on athleticism, and I don't think it will age well.
Sean?
Yeah.
I'd have to watch more tape on him, but
I think that there's certain openings that he's able to evade and parry certain strikes because I think he's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, he's not bad. But
can you imagine a world where Suga has the bankroll to pull up to a fight in Abu Dhabi in his private 150-foot yacht, or where Connor sits around and streams Warzone 3 hours every day? Hey man, if Sugar wins, I think that's the other interesting thing that's just kind of like overlooking sports in general here, where you do have the Saudi fund just kind of they've so far they've kind of, I don't want to say infiltrated, but it's sure they've disrupted golf, where they took a lot of the PGA Tour's top players. They're trying to buy, I think they're trying to buy the WWE for like, they're already part owners. They have an established relationship with, they have an established relationship with the UFC. You know, they have Fight Island there. It's yeah, I don't know if Connor. I'm interested to see back, man.
I can't imagine either of those worlds. I can't imagine Sean ever having the money to get a yacht. I don't know. I don't know how he'd get that kind of fame or money fight.
He'd have to win. No. I think that's more likely than Connor streaming Warzone. Does Connor even play video games? I don't think Connor plays video games.
I think he took an sponsorship deal with Call of Duty one time, but
oh really?
I want to get back to Guru the Pig's previous comment. Of course, the UFC wants another star like Connor, someone who can fight and talk and sell massive pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I think the UFC will take somebody like that if they come along, but they're not. The UFC is not desperate for pay-per-view stars like they were in their early years, and that's I think that's because, well, not I think it's because the UFC has the ESPN deal now. With ESPN, the UFC gets a guaranteed $750 million a year for putting on X number of events, which is why we see pretty bare bones fight nights, like the one that just passed, Erin Blanchfield versus Jessica Andrade. That was a pretty sparse card. There was no real name value on it. It was a lot of unranked fighters. It just wasn't a good card, and we see a lot of those way more frequently now because the UFC isn't. They don't need to put on a 10 out of 10 event every time. They just need to meet the event quota that they have with ESPN to get their money. And not only is it the
COVID, we don't care about COVID. We're gonna get these fights up.
Yeah, and not only is it the ESPN deal, not only is it the ESPN deal that keeps them running, but now they get so much money from gambling. I think they have what a $300 million 5-year deal with DraftKings. They had that insane deal with Crypto.com. They have all the sponsors that go on the cage. Does
that bonus still exist?
I think it does, but if the fighters that got it before didn't cash it out, it's worth way less now. But yeah, the UFC is not as interested in building individual stars because the UFC as a brand is popular enough to survive. And all that, but stars like Connor, they prove to be pretty difficult. Like Connor has given the UFC a lot of problems. He's difficult to handle. He sometimes won't fight in years, so those pay-per-views that he can sell, they're kind of nothing because he's not in any event.
I think part of that is they let him get that money with the Mayweather fight. I think had they not done that, I think we would have seen a much more active Connor.
Yeah.
Will Darren Till have the worst consecutive UFC fight streak when it's all said and done? Is Till a massive draw, or do the fans / UFC executives just enjoy getting him smashed up every fight?
Massive draw, B.
We were talking about it. We were talking about it earlier. We were talking about it earlier, and like Till, he's definitely in a dark spot right now, man, and there have been times where I haven't really liked Darren Till too much, and I thought he was overhyped, and it definitely felt that way a little bit. Dana has his favorites, man, and Till definitely was one of them. But he'll take care of you until the end. And I think Till, for whatever reason, he's still young. He's under 30. He draws a certain section of the world in England. He's still a draw, so I think his saving grace is that he is a draw. And in the UFC, you either got to be good or you got to be interesting. And it kind of feels like he's kind of neither at this point, but he does have his fan base. I mean, there are people saying that he has a chance against Adesanya and that he was the guy that had the style to beat him. I always thought that was crazy. I always thought that was absolutely crazy. And the Masvidal loss is starting to looks more like we should have seen that as a warning sign rather than a fluke.
Yeah, in terms of that next question, I think in terms of,
I think it's a valid question, but we'll get to that after you answer.
I think
the Till one.
Yeah, I think in terms of like worst streak in comparison to the amount of hype they got, probably because leading up to his Woodley fight, Till just had an insane amount of hype, and I think that also just couples with the fact that UFC was looking to build Till into something that he wasn't. Like his UFC wins was it? Yeah, it was Wendell Oliveira, Nicholas Dalby, who he didn't even beat. It was a draw. Jessen Ayari, Bohan Velikok, then Cowboy, and then Wonder Boy, which a lot of people don't even think he won that Wonder Boy fight. That wasn't a good performance. Neither of them really did much that fight. And then after that, he's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 in 5.
His losses have not aged well at all.
Well, yeah, he lost to Woodley, Masvidal, won against Gastelum, lost to Whitaker, Brunson, and Duplessis. They're not terrible losses, especially his ones at middleweight.
The Whitaker one wasn't.
The Whitaker one's not bad. He looked decent and he looked not bad in that fight. But then the Brunson fight is just not good. Like he should not have lost that Brunson fight.
It's a tough one.
And even in his Gastelum fight,
beat him before the fight. I think Brunson beat him before the fight. To be honest with you,
in terms of like worst loss streaks, I don't think he has the worst one. I think people like BJ Penn.
BJ Penn was the first name. Yeah, that was the first name that I thought of. But
I mean, BJ Penn's loss streak continued outside of the cage. He lost to someone outside the Lava Shack. So, oof. To be fair, I think
he was destroying that guy before that. So,
no, I think he got flattened and then followed up. But anyways, short answer, no, probably not the worst one. But in terms, he's probably one of the biggest like hype train derailments we've seen.
I think Garbrandt's is probably worse right now.
Oh yeah, that's someone else I was going to bring up because Garbrandt actually did what Till should have done. Garbrandt he beat the dominant champ in Cruz and then just fell off a cliff.
In Cruz, he beat Cruz.
Huh?
Maybe he was on EPO. But
Garbrandt probably.
Again,
Garbrandt literally admitted in the presser leading up to the first TJ fight that he knew TJ was on PEDs because he said TJ showed everyone at Alpha Male how to do it. What a fucking idiot. Also, one more thing on the Till thing. I think Till is still a decent draw. I mean, he's a fan favorite because he's a funny guy, and fans like latching onto him and hoping that he'll actually be something. But it's just he's just not at this point.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust
me. Does Erin Blanchfield have the fight skill or sex appeal to be a marketable fighter that can help pay-per-view cards? I'm going to stick to the first part of that. And the answer is yes. I really think earlier in the podcast, I think she has the potential to be the next Ronda. I don't know about sex appeal. I just haven't I haven't really seen that side of her. I don't know if she has. I've only seen her ready to fight, and it's really hard to judge women as they're ready to go to war. Especially when you have someone like like Rose Namajunas, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. They look different when they're going to war versus when they go home and want to go out. So I'm not sure about the second part, but I will say I am a believer. I'm a big believer in her skills as a fighter. I think she's in a division that has a dearth of talent at the moment, and she has done a good job of separating herself there. And I think she has the best chance that we've seen in a while to dethrone Shevchenko.
Building off that question, I think she certainly has the fight skill to be marketable because she's very good. Her only loss was to Tracy Cortez, like pre UFC. Sex appeal, probably not. I have not seen fans really simp over her like they simp over people like someone like Mackenzie Dern or heck like Tracy Cortez, who I just mentioned. Fans just simp over them.
Yeah.
And so,
or
fortunately,
I mean, even Megan Anderson.
Yeah, people just simp over them, and Blanchfield doesn't get that same amount of simpage per fan.
No.
And also Blanchfield, she doesn't really talk a whole lot. She doesn't talk a whole lot of shit. She's kind of just a straight shooter. She's just like, I'm here to fight. I think I'm better than them. I'm gonna kick their ass. Bye bye.
And she does. She backs it up.
She does.
Who is hotter, prime Gina Carano or prime Ronda Rousey? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, and also, just one more thing on the marketable fighter.
Neither for me, but I never understood the infatuation of Ronda. I'll say that.
What was I gonna say? Oh, not only that, but like Blanchfield doesn't seem to have a lively enough personality for your average MMA fan. Because if we're thinking about like marketability, like Molly McCann, Meatball, right? She captured the fan base, right?
Yeah.
Part of that was because she's next to Patty, but Molly herself has a very lively, very
gregarious.
Yeah, very gregarious personality. Just that just hits home with a lot of fans.
Yeah, I mean, Blanchfield crucifixed her, beat the shit out of her, and the crowd still cheered for her when she lost more. In defeat, she got more cheers than Blanchfield did. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's just kind of like, it doesn't seem like she does. It doesn't. She seems like a no nonsense kind of fighter. But yeah, Meatball definitely. I mean, Jesus, she was at the pub afterwards drinking.
Oh, yeah, we were there. We were at the bar. Yeah, and everyone just that's crazy.
Meatball got a hero's welcome.
Yeah, Blanchfield had the hometown advantage, and they were still cheering for Molly. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Erin Blanchfield's gonna have the marketability.
She's got to go the skills route. Does Bisping's injury suffered inside the octagon and his contributions helping to grow the UFC directly correlate to why he is commentating fights? Or do we think he is a good commentator? All right. I think he's commentating. I think you're on the right path there. I do think that he got the commentating job as a mea culpa to the UFC, allowing kind of setting him up in that fight against TRT Belfort, where he got wheel kicked into oblivion. I certainly think that Dana took care of him. And I think, even looking at his title run, Bisping was heavily protected. I think he's the most protected champion. I will go that far. I think Michael Bisping was the most protected champion. I think he got a mercy in them allowing George St. Pierre to come choke him out, because they absolutely protected him against absolute killers in Bobby Knuckles, Yoel Romero. I would even say Jacare probably starches Bisping at that time.
Oh yeah.
He should not have been the champion. He got very lucky. He caught. I would like to take that away. I don't want to say he got very lucky. He studied film and he saw Rockhold's deficiency and he capitalized on it. I don't want to take that away from him, but it does feel like, given the pool of talent there at the time, it does feel like kind of like a very fluky, lucky championship.
Yeah, I think Whitaker, Romero, Souza, Weidman would have done bad things to Bisping, but I think his injuries inside the octagon definitely probably led him to seek out other modes of income, and I think his contribution to the UFC in terms of helping grow MMA in the UK. Definitely. What's the word? Definitely helped the UFC making the decision to allow him to be a commentator, and also that towards the end of his UFC career, he captured the fan base, right? Because early on he was kind of the trash talking British villain, but then later on he became a lot more personable.
He's the first fight. He is the first fight that I ever watched. I watched it with our dad. He's the first fight I ever watched. It was him versus Hendo, where he got Hendo bombed. That was the first fight. That was the first UFC fight that I ever watched. It was on Spike TV. It was The Ultimate Fighter. And I absolutely hated Michael Bisping. I absolutely hated him. And I jumped for joy when I didn't know anything. I just wanted the American to shut him up. And Hendo did that. But I will say, as you know, as I've learned more about the sport, as you know, we've watched more and more, I kind of like Bisping. He's a little too shilly for me. He's a kind of a UFC shill for me a little bit.
Which is weird, because in terms of like his personal politics, he seems to be pretty left leaning in support of like worker solidarity, but then he doesn't say much about but in terms of commentating, I think he's a good
commentator. It's his employer. I don't get mad at people where like they don't like come out and shit on the way that on who signs their checks.
I don't necessarily blame him either, but I do think he's a good commentator. I think he has fallen off a little bit recently. I think he's become a little too focused on the whole podcasting aspect that seems to be like hurting the UFC commentary team, with people like DC, mostly DC and Bisping throwing out like a little too many jokes, not enough analyzing. Because Bisping on the fly, he's a good analyst. He'll point things out that your average fan won't know, and he's good. He's good at what he does. He's good at hyping stuff, but in terms of my preferred commentators, I think I prefer like Felder.
I like Felder. Cruz
is good. Annick's always good. And Lorosenko is actually a pretty good commentator. She does a lot more research than certainly than DC. A lot more research than DC.
Yeah. DC, Dominic Cruz is applauding you right now. I will say John Anik, I was listening to his podcast. He is much spicier on his podcast. It was kind of jarring.
Yeah.
He is way like, I only knew him as the commentator, and he's kind of, I don't want to say vanilla. I think that that's probably a negative connotation, but he's kind of
professional.
And
he's
then
the consummate professional.
Yeah. On his podcast, man, he is spicy, bro. Like he is like, I'm like, whoa, who the hell is this? Will the UFC ever get another superstar bigger than Conor or female star bigger than Ronda? They had one. His name was Francis Ngannou. If they would have let Francis box Tyson Fury, he would have gotten to Conor's level. So I guess it's kind of like I don't want to say a trick answer, but I don't think they will ever allow anyone to get that big again.
I don't
they don't
think
need to.
I agree with that, but I don't think Francis was ever nearing that Conor
If he
status.
boxed Tyson Fury,
no,
I disagree. If he boxed Tyson Fury, I think it would have.
Tyson Fury's he's not a huge pay-per-view seller.
I think the crossover would have been a bigger deal than I think you're.
I don't think it would have been nothing, but I don't think it would have been Conor Floyd level.
Probably not. I mean, Floyd is in the GOAT conversation, and Conor was a WWE villain in a sport that had room to grow.
And no, I also don't. I think a potential Ngannou Tyson fight, I don't even think that would sell 1 million. And even if it did sell enough, I don't think it would sell past 1 million.
100% it would hit 1 million. No. I disagree.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think short answer is no. And that's just.
I think.
I don't think the UFC. I don't think the UFC will allow it.
I think Chimaev was on his way to being a pretty big star, but then he fucked himself with that whole
Kadyrov stuff.
No, not with that. With the whole Nate Diaz weight missing fiasco.
Nah,
I think a decent amount of fans turned on him for that. But
is he?
I think the UFC will eventually have a bigger star than Conor and Ronda, but I think it's going to be.
They have one. They just don't market him. It's Volk.
I think it's going to be a while before we see that, because it's going to be someone that knows how to really promote themselves independent of the UFC, because the UFC is only going to do so much.
I really think that they missed the boat with Francis. They could have had a Thrilla in Manila moment with Francis in Africa. I really think that they fucked up.
To quote Brendan Shaw, they could have had him versus John Africa.
Oh my God. Yeah. But I think they missed the boat there. I think that I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the UFC will allow it. In your opinion, what percentage of UFC, I don't know the answer to this, but of UFC pay-per-views are illegally streamed, and does Dana have something up his sleeve to stop this massive loss of revenue?
I'd say a good 25 to 30% of UFC pay-per-views are illegally streamed.
I was going to go higher, but
I'd say a good quarter.
Yeah, I was going to go higher than that. I would say it's probably in the 30s, maybe even higher than that.
Well, I'm just saying that
he must be joking that Francis would ever have reached Conor. That's why they let him walk, because he doesn't sell pay-per-views. Jeez. No, my qualifier was they needed to let Francis fight Tyson. But Justin didn't agree with me either. But yeah. I think if they would have let him box Tyson, we would have seen someone enter that kind of realm. Yeah. I think that's the crossover that's needed, but I don't think that they're going to let anyone box again. They don't want to pay someone that money, because once you pay someone that money, they're not going to come back and fight for peanuts anymore. Which is what happened with Conor.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to discuss pay-per-view numbers, because the UFC just won't release. The UFC doesn't release pay-per-view sales anymore. But Ngannou, I think estimated reports put like Ngannou versus Gane only at like 400K, something like that, which is not nothing. That's a decent. That's good. That's good sales, but it's not stardom.
So my reasoning for Francis would have been he fights Jones, he has to beat Jones, and then he would fight Tyson Fury in boxing, and I think that would have been the route if anyone was going to get to that level.
I still don't think he would have gotten into Conor level, but he definitely would have been more of a mainstream star. I think he would have been.
Hasn't he been in the Expendables? I think he was in the Expendables.
I have no idea.
I think he was in the Expendables.
I think.
I don't know who else would be an option. I mean, I guess Izzy.
Izzy, no. Izzy, no. Izzy's a star. He can sell pay-per-views. I think he averages between like 500,000 and 700,000. At least that's what the estimates put it at.
I don't think he can get to Conor level. I don't know. Maybe no one can. I don't think anyone. I don't think they're. I don't know.
It takes a special blend of intangibles and just skill. Because like that run that Conor went on at featherweight, it's one of the best runs we've seen in the UFC. Him sparking everyone, plus just being fire on the mic.
Conor
captured, yeah, Conor.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of had. He beat some good guys, but he was kind of protected on the way a little bit.
The only person he was really protected from was Frankie
and Habib.
When he was on, Habib was at lightweight.
Yeah. They kind of kept him away from him. Yeah. So I'd say they wouldn't let Francis fight Fury because but when he lost that. Okay, so when Francis loses to Fury, it wouldn't reflect well, similar to Jake Paul beating up all these UFC guys. I mean, I don't know.
Conor I disagree with that. I disagree with that because everyone would go. Everyone, like even when they were still just when Francis was just floating the idea while he was still in the UFC, the sentiment was like he's probably going to get pieced up, but we'll still watch it just because it's just such a crazy thing.
He has a puncher's chance.
Yeah, it isn't. I don't think it's this. I don't think it's really comparable to Jake Paul because Jake Paul is just beating up. He's beating up old retired guys.
Who do you think? Do you think there's a free agent that goes to fight Jake Paul in PFL?
In PFL,
the only one that makes sense is Nate.
Yeah, Nate Diaz.
If it's MMA, he's gonna kill Jake Paul.
Yeah, but I don't think the MMA fight would happen.
I don't know, man. I think Jake Paul's kind of crazy enough.
I mean, Jake Paul also fights this Sunday against Tommy Fury, so you gotta see how that goes.
That wasn't on my radar.
It wasn't either. I saw it in passing. I could give less than a poop about Jake Paul, to be honest with you.
I'll probably watch it. But all right, we hit 2.5 hours. Thank you to Guru the Pig. Thank you to anyone else who came in and watched with us. This was awesome. We will do it again. Many thanks to you, my brother. Inshallah. Yeah, man, it's yeah, this was fun. I did not think we would hit 2.5 hours. I think that's the longest I've gone. Yeah. You got anything else? You got anything to plug?
No.
Bucky. It's not complete without Bucky. Show Bucky.
He's asleep.
Oh, really?
I'm not waking him up.
No, he might have a nightmare soon. But yeah, man. Thank you for being on. Thank you again to everyone showing up. 2.5 hours. Jesus, bleeping Christ. Yeah. Till next time. Peace out.